oftentimes when you're emoting, you want to do that, or you try to get some of that in your voice so it conveys the mood of the, the song and the lyrics. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll do a quick.
I'm like that when I talk about the Port Authority. I get like that.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name's Andy.
It is.
I have a picture pinned to my wall, an image of you and of me, and we're laughing. We're loving it all. More on that later. But first, Andy, my friend, you have a tune for us to listen to. What be it?
Well, we are going to revisit a band that we've listened to once on this channel. I introduced you to them, and if my recollection serves, you really enjoyed the song, their sound, and expressed some interest in wanting to hear them again. So I am going to entertain those feelings of yours and bring back.
In my big mouth.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, the band is Pinegrove. So you remember we did Need To, that live audio tree
Oh,
performance.
yeah.
Yeah. We are going to be checking out another song from them. This not live, this is just straight audio, but it is a track called Old Friends. So
Just think of Simon Garfunkel song straight away.
yeah. But it's not the same. So
Yeah. Okay, I
so
shall go up and give this a listen, come back and tell you what I think.
excellent. Sounds good.
Walking outside labyrinthian over cracks along under the trees. I know this town grounded in a compass, cardinal landing in the dogwood. I keep going over it over and over. My steps iterate my shame. How come every outcome's such a come down? Lately afternoon with the shades drawn down. Kept saying I just wanted to see it. Saying
Okay, interesting start. It sounds a lot different to the other song that Anna gave me from these guys. That one was live in Audio Tree, but this one sounds more like a live recording in terms of the production quality. Yeah, and also his voice. I don't know if it's the same guy singing. I remember it was like a blonde scammy. Had a really sweet voice from the previous one. This guy's a bit more. This is all very much more sort of Americana, old country type stuff. Yeah, and it starts off and you get this sort of plodding strumming from the guitar, and I'm picking up some of his words, but he's very relaxed in the way he's delivering this, which means for someone who doesn't catch lyrics anyway, this is quite a challenge. But yeah, he was talking about sort of walking about, something about cracks into the trees. I'm sure I heard the word, and I wrote it down, labyrinthian, which you don't often get in an opening gambit of a song. So that's interesting. But yeah, I guess this feels quite easygoing. I think it, given the big clue for the title, he's probably talking about his friends and his hometown and stuff. So there's a touch of nostalgia to this. But I'm getting this very sort of relaxed vibe to it. Sounds nice, and then the band sort of join in a few seconds ago to get the full sound. Thought I heard some like banjos very, very softly in the background, but we'll have a listen.
what's wrong with that? Needle shaking outlines in a compass. Every outcome such a come down. I knew it when I saw it. So I did just what I wanted. So I drove through with it. I knew happiness when I saw it. I saw your boyfriend at the Port Authority, sort of fucked up place. Well, so I averted my stride on a quick one. Just coming back from going over your place, huh? I feel like we could.
There's a really nice guitar noodling away. I think it's in the right channel here. That sort of very feels like it's taking a stroll as well. There's something about the Port Authority. I don't think this is the Wire season 2. Surely not. I guess that bit just before was the chorus. I was really struggling to hear any words that he was saying because he's just singing it really relaxed and it's kind of, letting his natural accent or whatever went through, but it just makes it difficult for me. But I get a feeling from that. I'm sure I heard there was like a steel guitar in there. It gives it a little touch of melancholy as well, which I guess is very suitable if you're being a little bit nostalgic. There's always that sort of bittersweet, good times past, but either you miss them or there was things that happened you can't change or whatever. So yeah, it's nice overall feel to this.
Could forget about it. I feel like I could mellow out. I don't feel undone in a big way. There's nothing really bad to be upset about. When I thought I was getting better, I woke up on the ground. An appointment or disappointment, setback gonna come down. As if I needed a reminder. Oh, I do only what I wanna. So I go through with this. Walking out in the nighttime, springtime, needling my way home. I saw Leah on the bus a few months ago. I saw some old friends at her funeral. My steps keep splitting my grief through these solipsistic moods. I should call my parents.
I just want to listen to that bit again so I heard it right.
Saw some old friends at her funeral. My steps keep splitting my grief through these solipsistic moods. I should call my parents when I think of them.
Don't get solipsistic moods very often in the lyrics.
Maybe I should have gone out a bit more when you guys are still in town. I got too caught up in my own shit. How every outcome's such a come down. I knew it when I saw it. Oh, I did just what I wanted. So I go through with it. I knew happiness and I saw it.
And in there, it's like banjo scattering like butterflies. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's really pleasant. I wouldn't say this song grips me or anything, but it's really nice. Had a lovely sort of vibe to it, relaxed feel. Yeah, and certainly very different from what we heard previously. Yeah, interesting. Well, to find out more, let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
Oh, so you're back like an old friend. What you make of this track, John?
Yeah, so different sound to the previous experience. As I remember, that one had really nice sort of dreamy-ish ringing guitars, and then that sort of guy that I believe is equated to some sort of scouse scally who's ready to nick the hookups off your car, and then out came this beautiful voice. I remember him singing "I'm Out." And I think they played with tempo as well and other stuff. It was, yeah, this was not that at all. So this was more of like a rootsy Americana, old country type, feel. Funny enough, listen to this. I thought the production of this felt more like a live version than the audio tree, or perhaps like a live studio version. Do you know what I mean? But the production, from what I remember, and I haven't listened to, need to, but I think the production of this is it's like a step down, which obviously gives praise to Audio Tree and their production values being so good. But there you go. So anyway, it starts with the singer, and he does something about walking outside, and then I heard the word labyrinthian, and there's something about cracks under the trees. And it's going along to like a plodding strum, much like somebody shuffling along, perhaps in a dressing gown and big slippers. There's some sort of stick tapping, and then I had a really faint sort of banjo join, and then some shaker, and then the full band sort of comes in around sort of 30-second mark. Now the singer, his delivery for me is it's really easy going, which gives it a nice vibe, but he's pretty lazy on the enunciation. And I know I want to talk, but I missed quite a few words. Now he's not exactly Boomhauer, but for someone who doesn't normally catch a lot, it's more of a challenge. And it's just his natural, voice. I'm not, quibbling with it at all, and it sounds great. It's just for me to make sense of what he's saying is, I'd need more than one listen. Probably about 48. But anyway, however, the atmosphere from the vocals is something you can pick up on. It's one of this relaxed and nostalgia I'm getting, and I think with the added clue of the title that he may be going on about friends who are not new, and his hometown as well. I'm getting the odd words here and there as well. So it's a kind of nostalgia, sort of look back and the situation around that sort of thing. We get to the end of the verse, and then there's some nice ringing sort of big chords, and a steel guitar comes in, which sort of amps up the country vibe as well. And there's something. I mean, I caught it more the second time than this time. There's something about that guitar sound that has a natural melancholic feel to it as well. So it adds another sort of dimension to it. Then we're into the next verse, and I do catch something about "saw your boyfriend at the Port Authority," and I'm thinking, are we into season 2 of The Wire? Well, probably not. But as we take a stroll along the second verse, there's a nice ambulatory guitar in, I think, the right channel, doing its own thing. I just saw this picture of people walking around a park as the main song, and then the guitar going off and chasing butterflies in the bushes or something. It's just doing this. I'll catch you up, and and again has this really chilled feeling to it. It's really nice. There's something he says about thought I was getting better, and then but I woke up on the ground. And there's disappointment, and there's something about a bit of a come down. I think he said that before, the word come down. I think he says it again. So that's like and not all of it's repeated, but I've definitely heard those two words be repeated like 2 other times. Then we get the big chord guitars again. So this, yeah, it is definitely the chorus. And as I say, this time I'm picking up with this still a bit of like despondency to it. Perhaps that's too strong a word, but there's just this wistfulness, which you get with nostalgia and looking back. There's things that you love about the past and things that you can't change. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we then drop down musically for the next verse. And there's some really interesting lines. Saw some old friends at a funeral, something about a grief, and then solipsistic moods. Which is a rare find in lyrics. It really is. Oh, quite impressed me. And there's something about I should call my parents and tell my friends that I love them, which are very sort of sweet sentiments. So yeah, again, that this verse feels more, yeah, slight tinges of melancholy, which you get with looking back. And I don't know if there's tension there between sort of the past and the present and the future. Maybe, but you've got things like funeral as well, which sort of gives you this marker in time, doesn't it? I mean, it's definitely a marker in time for the person whose funeral it is, but it does have that sort of impact on where you are as well within your life. So it's just interesting. I don't know, just things that popped into my head. Then we had this final really big chorus again, which sounds great, and then the song fades away with this fleeting murmuration of banjos again, which I described, I think, in the reaction as like, again, the banjos are like butterflies just flitting off away slowly. So yeah, the whole thing was really pretty, engaging. I enjoyed it. I don't think it grabbed me as much as the first song, but it was definitely a different sound, which is interesting. I don't know if this is before or after what I heard before. I've no idea. I couldn't tell you. I mean, just his voice alone was very different. If it's the same blonde Scally singing, I don't know. But yeah, I just definitely enjoyed it. And it was a nice, nice, interesting, quite thoughtful little number.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I wasn't I wouldn't have I would have come down 50-50 on whether or not you would have liked this more than Need to. So I'm surprised that you have more certainty about it, but I mean, it's totally fine. But man, I don't know. I think I liked slightly more the music in Need to, but I think I like the storytelling and lyrics in this track more. And that's kind of why they're like 1A, 1B with me. So when you said you would like to hear some of them down the line, I knew exactly what song I was going to give you. And it was this one. So glad you enjoyed it. Let's do a quick
Is
recap.
it
Go ahead.
just a question? Is it the same singer?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Really different voice.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and listen to Need to again, it's different, but you can still understand that you can still draw the correlation that it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same. So, but yeah, I would say that I don't know, maybe there's just more fragility to his voice in this song, and
It breaks a little bit more, doesn't it, in
yes,
places?
that's what I mean by its fragility. Yes, it breaks, or sounds like it's on the verge of more often, and I think that is because of the subject matter. You know what I mean? The oftentimes when you're emoting, you want to do that, or you try to get some of that in your voice so it conveys the mood of the, you know, the song and the lyrics. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll do a quick.
I'm like that when I talk about the Port Authority. I get like that all the time.
Yes, exactly. Who doesn't? But yeah, let's do a quick recap of the band, and then I will focus more on sort of this era of the band and the album and so forth. So, Pinegrove, they are an American rock band formed in Montclair, New Jersey in 2010. The band's lineup is largely fluid and variable, with singer-songwriter Evan Stevens Hall and drummer Zach Levine representing its core members. The two met when they were children and played in various bands before founding Pinegrove. The band's musical style, which uses instruments such as banjo and pedal steel guitar, is commonly described as a mix between alt country and emo. Pinegrove's early years were spent self-releasing music, including their debut album Meridian in 2012, and performing do-it-yourself house shows. So, as mentioned, we've listened to Need to from their 2014 album Everything So Far, and this track, Old Friend, is the opening track of their follow-up sophomore effort entitled Cardinal, which was released in 2016. So that sort of illustrates the timeline of where we're on. It was the Everything So Far was almost like an intro their first album, but it was also kind of a compilation of things that they had written all the way up until that point, that they kind of all assembled. So I think that's sort of how it's got its name, Everything So Far. And just a couple years later, they would release Cardinal, this album. So the album was recorded leisurely in Levine and Hall's parents' basements in Montclair over a period of 4 years. So
There's your production values.
there you go. There you go, exactly. Upon its February 2016 release, the album represented a breakthrough. It attracted wide critical acclaim, and the band began to amass a devoted fan listenership, which adopted the nickname Pine Nuts, which I think I mentioned on the last episode. With a new following and an increased national profile, Pinegrove began to sell out venues across the country. After a tour supporting Into It, Over It, they embarked on their first headlining tour of the U.S. between June and August of 2016. The group recorded a live session for Audio Tree that was released as a live album digitally. That's what we checked out last time around. A Pitchfork review described its fan reception as legendary. Yeah, give it a spit. In 2016, the band recorded a set of NPR's Tiny Desk concerts featuring the tracks Need, which was sort of like the precursor to Need 2. They have this tendency to do that, write two songs that are kind of like brother-sister songs or whatever. So Need is sort of the precursor to Need 2. So they did Need, Angelina, Old Friends, and Waveform. Cardinal appeared on many critics' best of year-end lists. In total, the group played over 200 shows that year in support of the album. Chris DeVille, writing for Stereogum, summarized the band's word-of-mouth rise to fame by saying, "The project has evolved from a collegiate distraction to a hard, touring, underground institution. Pinegrove are one of the greatest bands in the world right now." Cardinal's success led tastemakers to include Pinegrove among a wave of emo revival acts. And while Hall stopped short of labeling the group, he acknowledged his work could be lyrically confessional, emotionally direct, and emotive vocally. In response, Hall clarified the band's mission: emo points inwards, and it's our aim to point outwards. The group also has been categorized as indie rock, math rock, and Americana, which you were quick to point out. Hall himself once described the band as the midpoint between math rock and Americana. Musically, Pinegrove augments the standard guitar, drum, bass lineup with instruments such as banjo and steel pedal guitars, instruments that you were quick to point out as well. The group's style has been compared to fusion genre forebears, the Weaker Thans, as well as Wilco, Built to Spill, Gillian Welch, let's get that right for everybody out there, and early Death Cab for Cutie, which is great because outside of Wilco, which we're both familiar with, all of those acts have appeared on this channel. Hall has listed My Morning Jacket and Bon Iver among bands that they have more direct musical influence from. So other acts that I think we've talked about in some degree, probably more off camera. I think you and I both talked about Bon Iver and My Morning Jacket. All Music, DIY, and Kerrang all rated the album 4 out of 5, and Exclaim, Pitchfork, and Spin gave it an 8 out of 10. Consequence of Sound graded it a B+, while Absolute Punk scored a near perfect 9.5 out of 10. Writing for The Alternative, Sean Gonzalez reviewed the album and had this to say: "Pervading many forms of indie rock is nothing new for the band. It's the blend of Americana and alt country that paints an already diverse canvas with a new color. The natural break in Hall's voice captures his emotionally unwound conscience and winds it back into place with his verbose lyrics. It's as if he's having a conversation with whomever is listening, but he's singing instead. The homey approach opens up fragments of his headspace and releases them to the beat of soft, catchy indie rock. Take Old Friends, for instance, a bent-up country song where Hall sweeps through a vocal line with the clever, brazen, well, so I adverted my stride on a quick one. He's coming back from going over to your place, huh? It's a type of intimacy between his wreathing vocal melodies and the band's unique guitar pop that makes each song its own miniature love story within Cardinal's overarching plot. The deceivingly complex, never-ending pursuit of finding yourself." And Dominique Polsinelli of the Michigan Daily wrote, "Cardinal is a collection of 8 songs which embody the art of emotional construction in music. It explores self-doubt, uncertainty, and the search for a voice. It achieves tenderness in bearing these emotions, and over the 30-minute journey, it fleshes them out through the dynamism in each individual track." So let's jump into these really interesting lyrics that I enjoy so much. "Walking outside Labyrinthian, over cracks along under the trees, I know this town grounded in a compass, Cardinal Landing in the dogwood. I keep going over it and over and over. My steps iterate my shame. How come every outcome's such a come down? Lately afternoon with the shades drawn down. Kept saying I just wanted to see you, saying what's wrong with that? needles shaking outlines in a compass. Every outcome such a come down. I knew it when I saw it, so I did just what I wanted. So I go through with this. I knew happiness when I saw it. I saw your boyfriend at the Port Authority, sort of a fucked up place. Well, so I averted my stride on a quick one. He's coming back from going over to your place, huh? I feel like I could forget about it. I feel like I could mellow out. I don't feel undone in a big way. There's nothing really bad to be upset about. But when I thought I was getting better, I woke up on the ground. An afternoon or a disappointment, a setback or another come down. As if I needed a reminder, oh, I do only what I wanna. So I go through with this. Walking out in the nighttime, springtime, meeting my way home. I saw Leah on the bus a few months ago. I saw some old friends at her funeral. My steps keep splitting my grief through these solipsistic moods. I should call my parents when I think of them, should tell my friends when I love them. Maybe I should have gone out a bit more when you guys were still in town. I got caught up in my own shit. That's how every outcome such a come down. And I knew it when I saw it. Oh, I did just what I wanted. So I go through with this. I knew happiness when I saw it, and I saw it. So yeah, it's just one of the I've been in this position before. Like you see people that you think you're going to see a million times, and then something happens unforeseen, and you kind of carry that guilt for not being a more proactive presence in their life, and kind of beating yourself up over it, and just being like angry and just how to, I don't know, like digest all of that. You know what I mean? But it is this track, as I mentioned before, about how they do these tracks that are kind of related. It's a sister song to another track by them called New Friends, which is the closing track on the same album. So these kind of bookend the album Cardinal. So Old Friends is about the band's frontman, Evan, feeling like he didn't make the time for people he cares about, only noticing so after the death of someone to whom he was close. Hall considered the track to have an element of staying the same while everything around you changes, and wanting to be adaptable, but also being a little stubborn about it. So yeah, there you are, John. That is another track by Pinegrove. And I'm glad you gave it a listen and it seemingly enjoyed it. Maybe not to the degree that you did need to. Enjoyed it. So awesome. Glad you dug it. Maybe I'll, bring around another track by these guys down the line. They're a really interesting act, and I do. It's also really. I mean, they're from New Jersey, and they're doing this sort of like alt country Americana thing, which is kind of interesting given where their roots are. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's unheard of or whatever, but usually you think about like the South or Middle America when you're tapping into this kind of sound. But these are some Jersey guys, but regardless of that, it still sounds wildly authentic, both from a musical standpoint and clearly from a lyrical standpoint. They're really putting it out there, and I appreciate that, and I think they've got a great sound. So again, John, thanks for giving this a listen. Guys out there in the audience, please let us know what you thought of Pinegrove, this track, Old Friends. If it made you think of any other tracks or artists, please feel free to drop them down in the comments field below. If these are artists or songs that we should check out, you have any of those on deck, also feel free to drop those down in the comments field below. We really enjoy hearing from you guys, and on getting all your feedback. Also, please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing. If you're new here, please stick around. The water's fine, and we love having you all here. And all that out of the way, hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next episode of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.